Hey folks, it's Eugene here, and what I'm going to be doing today is scanning a small crime scene. As you can see, I got my friend Larry here, who's going to be our assistant. He makes a great dead person. He's very cooperative, not very talkative, but that's okay. What we have are some evidence markers laid out, and we just got some, pretend evidence out. So here I've got like a little syringe, and I've got this evidence marker 33. Over here I've got the shoe, evidence marker 32. I put this board down on the ground. It has some blood stains on it, stuff from a previous experiment. That's 34. And then 31 here is just is a knife. It's a little bit hidden behind the body, but it's a real kitchen knife. And so I'm gonna put that down here. Got a refrigerator here, just a plant, just trying to make something up here, and maybe a somewhat realistic situation that crime scene investigators may find themselves in. So what we're going to do is, I have a few things going here, and what we're going to do is, so we are going to use targets today. So these are the April tags that are detected inside of Recon-3D. So I'm going to put one on one end, one on the other, measure between them, and make sure that I enter that value inside of Recon-3D. So I just got a standard tape measure here, no problem. And I was thinking about trying this with and without lighting. So I've got pretty good lighting in here, it's not too bad, but just to see what happens, I've got some other lights here. These are Rugo lights, okay? So these are made by Fox Fury. Let me just show you. I'll come up close here, but that's them right here. And there's two different types. They have a different Kelvin value on each one, and you can find these on the website. I will do something with this another time because I want to try some things at night and in darker areas, so more to come there. But this is just an additional experiment that I'm going to be running here. Also, I'm going to be using a selfie stick and the little phone adapter. I could do this by hand. I could just kind of like go around. But the thing is, if you're in a tight spot and I come over here or something, I don't want to be like trying to step over things, trying to get on the other side of a body or whatever. So sometimes the selfie stick is helpful. I can just kind of, go over and put my hand over and get the sensor where I need to get it in some of the tight spots without actually having to step there. So, before I begin though, and setting up the targets, I need to think about what I have here. Okay, so the first thing is I know some people just fire up the phone and go for it, but I like to think about technique, and I like to think about what areas here might give me a little bit of problem. So first thing, the sensor, the phone. Let me pull that out here of my back pocket. And what do I know about the sensor and the iPhone? Well, I know that it works pretty well in indoor environment, and it has about a 5-meter range on the LiDAR sensor. So that being the case, I don't have any problems here. I got plenty of space, I got plenty of room. My issue is going to be more with some of these blind spots. And so the setup or the makeup of this crime scene means that I'm going to have some spots that are going to be really difficult to get into. So things like in between the legs here, I can only get so far. Underneath the body, there's sort of a hidden spot under here, so I can try my best to get low and scan this way. That's going to be a little bit of a problem. And also some of these other surfaces. So if I'm scanning from here, like this, I'm not really getting the side of the refrigerator. So I need to make sure that I get around to this side and I sort of scan it, more or less perpendicular. Now, if I want the ceiling and this vent box and stuff like that, I'm gonna need to make sure that I get that sensor perpendicular to the surface. So I like to scan it that way, kind of scan underneath a little bit, and that will fill in all those spots. If I don't do that, you'll see that I'll have a whole bunch of gaps and a whole bunch of problems. When we see the point cloud, you'll see some missing things. So I'll do that first, and then what I'll do is I'll try it again with the Rugo lights on. I'll set them up and I'll show you what I got going on. So first things first, let me set up the targets and let me get to it. Okay, so I've got this set up right now. I'm at 2.75 meters, and what I need to do is now fire up the app. Let me move these lights because I'll use those later and get those out of the way. And we're gonna do the same thing here. Okay, so I think I am recording here on my screen. Let me step over here and I'll move down a bit so you can see me. Actually, I'll move in front like that. Okay, and I'm gonna just start, I'll put this up on the screen so you can see it, and I'm just gonna go ahead and try this. So I'm gonna do this as a crime scene. I don't know, I'll call it like CSI, maybe CSI 1. And then I'll try it again with the lights, and I know that will be number 2. Now, resolution. Okay, so looking at some of the settings here. I'm going to be using standard mode, which is the LiDAR fusion, and I have this slider for resolution. If I look at the size of this thing, it's probably not going to take me maximum 2 minutes to do this. So I don't think it's going to take me much more. So I could actually slide this down to about 2 millimeters or something like that, and that would be okay. I think that would be perfectly fine. And it says the depth of reconstruction is 5 meters. That's totally fine. I'm from wall to wall here, it's only maybe 2.8 meters, so it's not that bad at all. I'm not gonna bother with it. I'll leave it as is. Now, the target though, the distance, the center to center distance is gonna be 2.75 meters. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. And that's it. I'm pretty much set up to go. My default units are in meters. If you wanted to use feet or inches or whatever, you could do that. There's a start and stop tone. You'll hear a sound if I hit the button. Sure, why not? I'll turn that on just so you'll hear a noise. And I need to remove the tape measure. So let me do that. Being careful not to move the targets. There we go. Good, I'll move this aside. And I think I'm pretty much ready to go. So in terms of my reach, I think that'll be enough. That should be enough. And maybe I won't go too crazy, but I'm gonna take a step back here a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and save, and I'm ready to scan. So here we go. I'm gonna start on this side. And well, let me talk about my approach. What I'm going to do is I'm gonna start low and get sort of the ground and get the body, make sure that I pick up the targets. And then I'm slowly gonna move towards the walls. And what I'm gonna do is I don't like being on a flat white wall like that. That's not helpful. So what I wanna do is kind of get back, get a nice wide field of view, and I will pick up part of the floor, the chair, and then I'll move up and kind of get part of the ceiling like that. And slowly I'll get back down to the ground. There's a lot of features to track, and I'll move to the back wall and I'll pick that up kind of like that, get the box up here, move across, down here. I'll have to also face this other wall at some point, and you'll see that I'm doing a little dance around all this evidence, and some of you will completely understand what I'm talking about. And I want to get this part of the refrigerator, the face. Now that is a little bit shiny. There's a little bit of, it's reflective. I can kind of see a little bit of a mirror image, and it's shiny too, so it could cause some problems with the LiDAR and some reflection. So I might have some problems there. We'll see, maybe not. So let me give it a go. You'll see what I'm doing. I'm gonna try to do this all in 2 minutes. Here we go. All right, you heard the sound. You can see there's a whole bunch of features that are being tracked. I'm just gonna do this. And you know, I'm not moving really, really slow, but I'm just trying to be steady. And for sure, the selfie stick helps to balance it out a bit. So now I'm gonna face the refrigerator a bit. I'm gonna move around, being careful not to step on anything, and get the this face here. Okay, I think all that's, since I'm here, I guess I'm gonna try and scan this area and get part of the body, but I'll come back to the body, and I'm gonna do this part of the wall, moving back like that. And I'm gonna make sure that I've got that part of the wall. I think I've got enough. And I'm gonna move once again. I may overlap this side. Let me make sure I got the refrigerator in that corner. The box going over like that. And now I'm just gonna do that wall, making sure I get that target again, like that. I'm gonna move back. Okay, so pretty much everything now is gonna come down to just the body and the details. So making sure that I get both sides. So I'm gonna go like this, like that, and I need to get down low to get sort of the underside. And let me try over here. And I need to get the chair. Let me see if I get a little bit closer to the syringe. That's pretty good. And let me get this marker over here. Got the knife, and I want to be able to get the body here. And I think that's getting close to what I wanted to do. Give that a try. Oh, the top here. All right, there's a top surface, so I want to try and get a little bit perpendicular to that. Okay, let's live with that. Let's stop it, and then we'll try to do this again with the lights. I'm just going to save this for later for the moment. Okay. Now this light went out. Okay, that was kind of interesting. One of the lights went out here, so I just fired that back up, which sort of makes my point. If you are in an area that's dark and you don't have lighting, you can start using different types of additional lighting that you can add. So this particular adapter that I have has a little hot shoe adapter here, like the phone adapter has a hot shoe adapter on each side, which means that I can take these lights, just put them in the way I'm doing right now, and voila. You've got this sort of overlapping set of lights, and I'm going to try that and see what happens. Now, I have to make sure this is on the center lens. There's actually a lens here. I'll just show you what I've got going on here. So it's basically this right here, 2 lights, and I've got that there. And there's a little lens up here. Okay, the light just went out. Actually, you know what? They both went out. And you know what? That's okay, because I'm going to use these in a slightly darker area. I think that'll make the point and see what happens. So I'm pretty much ready to go, just like before. So I need to set up the project. I'll make a new project. We called the first one CSI1, so let's call this one CSI2. So I'm going to go CSI2, create, and we'll put the tone on. We will put this down to a couple of millimeters, right? Just about like that. We will put the target detection on. We had approximately 2.75. So I'm going to do that and say, okay, good. And we're ready to go. So if I hit save, you'll see here, actually, there's a couple of buttons beside the record button. So one of them is actually a flash. So if I turn that on, you basically get your torch, your flashlight on. And the other one is a timer. So if I wanted to, use a 5-second countdown timer, I could. Okay, I'm just going to use the torch, the flashlight on here. I'm going to turn these guys on. And there is a power setting. So I'm going to turn them to the brightest one. 4, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now it's a little bit round. Let's see if I can spread this out a bit better. Make sure I got the right lens on here. There we go. Now you can see it's nice and diffuse if you look like that. And you can see it up on the wall. Nice and diffuse, okay? All right, let's give this a go. Only gonna take me a couple minutes here. So starting here. All right, there we go. Getting the floor, and we're just gonna follow the same kind of approach that we did last time. Now I do see a little bit more of a shadow from the device and from the overhead lights here, but that's okay. We're gonna try that and see what happens. So like that, and now I'm gonna move to this wall over here, like that. Again, want to increase my field of view. I got a little bit of the bottom. I don't want to be too much on the white spots like I just did, just for a little bit, no problem. Okay, like that, and I'm gonna go this way, up and across. Now what I forgot to do in the last one was get the underside of that box. So I'm probably going to be missing data. I just realized that. So if I go under and point up like that, okay, that will help me get some data there. And the refrigerator, let's see if we can do that, like this. We want to get the top surface. We want to go up on this side, get this flat surface here. Great. Okay, that's pretty good. And now we'll start on these evidence markers. And we'll start to get low on the body, not too close, like that. And we're gonna move around to get different angles, like that, the feet. And I'll probably be missing some things, and with a bit more time and a bit more practice, I could probably get really good and get a nice complete scan. But you can see it's hard, like for example, to get on the back side of this evidence marker is a little tough. So let me go over here, like that. All right, and I think that is almost going to do it like that. Okay, just going to get the chair. Let me get the syringe. And let's call it quits there. I think I got everything. This board. Maybe I can do one up top here like that. And I don't recall if I got that wall exactly, but I think I'm going to go back and I'll do this one, just to make sure that I got it. Okay. All right, let's call it quits there. I'm gonna hit stop. Perfect. I got it. Let me save it so I know that it's locked away and it's something that I can process later. So let me shut these lights off. There's one, and there's two. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go process these, we're gonna see what they look like, and yeah, we'll make a little bit of a comparison, and you'll see where I might have missed something, where maybe something didn't reconstruct well underneath here, maybe on the the side of the fridge, maybe there's some gaps here that I didn't pick up. It's really good to see where it doesn't work, and that's really important so you learn for the next time. So let's do that, and we'll be right back. Okay, so I am inside of Cloud Compare, and I've brought in both of the scans after processing them. And you'll see the one on the left here, that's the first one that I did, so I call that CSI1. And the second one is the one that I did with the lights. Now, right off the bat, looking at the color differences, just like sort of the, how bright they are and stuff like that, they don't look all that different. And this room was, in fact, lit, so it has pot lights and stuff. So it actually wasn't too bad. But you will see that there is a small difference here. So where this shadow is here from the vent box, you'll see it's a little bit lighter here. Okay, so and that's probably because of the lighting, on the with using the Rugal lights. And I'll do another video sometime in the future talking more about lighting solutions. But really wasn't all that necessary in this one. But I thought it was kind of fun to try. Now, let's look at the differences between the two. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the orthographic view, and I'm going to go to top-down view. So now we're looking at both of these from the top-down view. So this is the left and this is the right. And let me shut off the lower parts of the scenes here. So just like that. So all we're looking at, if I turn this around, you'll see just the back wall and the ceiling. And the reason I want to do that is just to look at the difference between what I caught underneath the vent box. Now, you may remember when I was scanning it in the first one, I said that, hey, I forgot to actually get underneath a little bit of that vent box. And I didn't do a great job, but you'll see that there is a difference. Definitely a lot more points in the second one when I targeted the vent box, not a lot on the first one. So that's one thing to consider. If you need the ceiling, then you need to point it in that direction to try and get more data. And actually, I would have spent more time. So I would have gotten to different angles and such like that. I don't need the top, so I'm going to get rid of that. Let's get rid of the ceiling. Bring back the lower portion, and this is what it looks like. Okay, so this is looking at it from the top-down view. Again, on the left is CSI1, on the right is CSI2, and overall they look pretty similar from this direction. If you wanted to create an overall sketch or something like that, I mean, you could definitely do so. From this particular view, you got your shoe, you got your evidence markers, you've got the body, and there's the syringe, and there's the other 33 evidence markers. Same thing here. Okay, so not that much different. Now, what I am interested in, though, is going to be what areas did not actually reconstruct all that well. So let me go back to the object view, and I want to point out a couple of things here. So one of them is, and I may have mentioned this in the first one, but this part of the wall here, you'll see that it's a little sketchy. There's a few points missing here. Now, nothing maybe that drastic, but a little bit of a missing points and things like that. But the refrigerator on the top, you see I'm missing a lot of points. I didn't spend a lot of time on the top here. And I did mention that the refrigerator could cause me a little bit of grief. And you see I got a few points over here on the side. And this is a shiny reflective kind of surface. You can almost see like a mirror image of yourself in it a little bit. So I thought this might give a little bit of problems anyway. Now on the second one, I actually forgot to go over the refrigerator, and you'll see that I have a lot less points here. And so when you get to these kinds of surfaces, they're a little bit shiny. You need to spend a little bit more time if they are important. Now, if this was just for an overall crime scene drawing or something like that, I can definitely tell where the refrigerator was. So, the mini fridge is not that big of a deal. But, if you need more points on it, you need to spend more time on it, collect it from different angles. Now, the other thing that I'm interested in is the body. So let me go to the lower portion. I'm going to get rid of the back wall. And I'm going to turn this around so we can look at it from the opposite side. And so now if we look at the first one, it's this guy right here, you can see it's a little difficult to get down, under these spots that are right underneath, but not too bad. I can see that there are some points over this side that enough was reconstructed, but still missing a few little points here and there, and that's very difficult to do. At some point you're just not going to be able to get the device down that low. And on this one, you see I didn't do as good a job, right? Yeah, I'm missing some more points. There's a little bit more of a gap over here, but for overall, looking at the location of the body and that sort of thing, it's not too bad. I can definitely say I know where the body was. I can take measurements and things like that. Now, of course, if something was underneath the body and you wanted to get it, you need to spend more time there and collect the whatever the if the knife was under the body or something like that and you wanted to collect it, you need to scan it from different angles and for a little bit more time. Now, another interesting thing here has to do with the evidence markers, these little cones here. Now, you'll see that, for example, 33 here, it didn't come out too bad, but it's a little mushy, okay? It's a little soft on the edges and things like that. And that was kind of interesting to me because it probably has something to do with the, shiny plastic. Like here you see it didn't reconstruct very well at all. And over here, not very well at all. So I think what I might try in the future is actually on the top of the cone, maybe, try a different texture or put something, a piece of tape or something there, because when it looks just all flat textured, all yellow, and it's a little bit shiny, it may cause some problems. Now let's look at number 2. I wonder if that did the same kind of thing. 33, interestingly, yeah, it came up a bit higher. These other ones, you see they're a little flat on the top. All right, so again, I think this has to do with the reconstruction and just the fact that it can't see the tops here. Now, let's check the one of the first things you should do when you get into these types of projects is check your scale between the targets. So what I'm going to do is get in here, I'm going to zoom in, and I will start taking some measurements. So first thing, this is the lower one. I am going to take a distance measurement. Now remember, I had 2.75, and I'm going to try to pick this as best as I can. Well, it's maybe close enough. It's not going to be perfect, but you have to pick sort of the closest point. And I'm trying to pick it to the center of this target. So let me see if over there. Okay, so I had 2.75, I've got 2.749. It's about a millimeter off. The center to center distance on the targets should be almost exact within, your ability to measure them. So if it's, a couple millimeters or a few millimeters, that's not too bad. Okay. So if you're talking about, an eighth of an inch or less, it's probably correct. Now, if you measure these and you find that you're off by a significant amount, maybe an inch or several millimeters, centimeter, then there's probably something wrong. You need to check your measurements, or if whether or not these targets actually were detected inside of the scan. Let's do it over here. Let's check and see if we can get the same thing. Make sure that it's working for the number 2. And I'm going to pick here. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'll just pick a quick point somewhere along the center. Let's say somewhere over here. Oops. How about here? Okay, 2.746. So it's within a few millimeters. And again, I'm doing this pretty quick, but I think that's good enough. So that's crime scene scanning, and there's a couple of different tests we did here. We noted some things like, the refrigerator. We noted things like the ceiling where we, had less points or more points. We noted the evidence markers. Some of them were a little bit soft on the reconstruction on the top, getting the body from different angles, making sure that we get as low as possible. And all of these factors are really important. Most important thing is probably just to practice. When you practice, you get better at things. You start to know what things work for you and what things don't. So this is a prime example, and I'm hoping that you enjoyed this one. We'll see you next time, folks. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.